And at only 11 cases, they didn't come back with indictments. That it's like lightning striking the black community over and over and over again.
Here now is Mr. Simmons, who made that statement Monday night, who's a co-founder of the hip-hop music label Def Jam. You know, it's the stat that you cited is federal grand juries, right?
That's right.
Okay, so it doesn't have anything to do.
Qualified that.
You should have, because it doesn't have anything to do with local street crime. It doesn't have anything to do with local policing or state policing. I believe the strife between poor blacks and the police is driven by black crime. That's the nexus point. Do you believe that?
No. I believe that we can create a good relationship between police and community with sensitivity training, both for the community and for the police.
Okay, I believe that.
And I recommended to the mayor today a good person to help him with that, and I think he's going to take that advice. Let me say this. I've spoken to the Attorney General, the governor, and the mayor in the last 12 hours. All of them are in agreement, and the governor, I think, is prepared to make an executive order to get special prosecutors in cases like these. Because in these cases...
I don't have a problem with that.
Right, of course. So that's really what I think...
But let's talk with the wider issue than the New York City issue. Look, I said on this air that I was disturbed by what happened in the Staten Island case. So did Charles Krauthammer. So did Judge Napolitano. All Americans should be disturbed.
Yeah.
But the bigger issue that you are not acknowledging is that the astronomical crime rate among young black men, violent crime, drives suspicion and hostility on the part of the police, who have to be confronted with it. You won't acknowledge it, Russell. You won't acknowledge it.
Let me say this to you. The broken glass laws and the way that the police approach community is a problem. The police are afraid of the community. It's true. And I think that requires some sensitivity training. And that is where we have to start. But if we want to start with the core, if there is crime or prison culture that ensues in the black community, or if the fabric of the black community is in some way disrupted, it has everything to do with your war on drugs. And 95% of the people who go to jail for nonviolent first-time offenses are people of color.
Is selling heroin and crack on the street a violent crime?
What I'm saying is that whites and blacks
an easy question. Can you
sell drugs
answer
at
that
the same
question?
rate. But
Russell,
95% of the people who are incarcerated
Am I invisible? Are you not hearing me? Are you not hearing me?
Versus white. I don't think selling drugs is a violent crime.
So. No. So you and I have a fundamental, you and I have a fundamental disagreement, because I think selling hard drugs is violent.
I think Oxycontin is a hard drug.
Let's go.
I think Vicodin is a hard drug.
Hold it. This has devastated poor black neighborhoods. In Chicago, there is an epidemic of violence driven by drug gangs. I haven't seen you there.
I'm in Chicago all the time.
You weren't down the South Side protesting.
I'm in Chicago promoting. I've worked with the mayor and everyone on putting meditation in schools in Chicago.
Education in schools is a different thing. And I have violence programs in 30 cities, including Chicago, that I fund. Russell, you have not been there condemning the black drug gangs for gunning down 13 and 14-year-old kids. You haven't done it.
You know what's interesting, Bill? When you talk about the violence in the black community, or 50 or 60, sometimes 70 kids who were shot in 1 week in Chicago.
By other blacks.
It comes like this.
Right.
And when you talk about the missing white girl from Brooklyn, it goes on for a month. Every single week, it is true, there is violence in those communities. And what we are doing about it is negligible. But what we could do, and the reason for that violence in those communities comes from this whole Jim Crow system that is the prison industrial complex. We have not addressed the core, the root.
If you don't think that selling drugs, you're never going to solve it. The root of the black crime problem is
drugs are not violent. I'm
going to give you the last word. Here's where you're so desperately wrong. You are a good man, but you are so desperately wrong. It pains me to talk to you.
Me too. I feel the same way about you, Bill.
Okay.
But I like you.
The crime rate is driven by the dissolution of the family. No supervision. Okay. Kids with no fathers. The black neighborhoods are devastated by drug gangs who prey upon their own. That's the problem, not the industrial prison complex. All right? Last word.
Listen, the violence in the black community is driven by those nonviolent drug offenders who are locked up, educated in criminal behavior, and dumped back in the hood.
But you would let them walk on the street and sell heroin, and I won't, and that's the difference. Russell Simmons, stand up.